What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we are reacting to, again, the Ultimate DreamWorks Conspiracy Theory. Oh wow. Huh. Now that's something, because before the title was something else. Jeez. Okay. So the video changed. I stopped recording and decided to continue on a later date. The thing saved, and now I'm back, and the name changed. That's something, I guess. But I guess that makes sense. So, yeah. Now we're on to the best video you'll ever see, which is section 3. Or pure chaotic insanity. Whichever one works for you, in all honesty. So, hope you'll enjoy this reaction video. If you did, hit the like button below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when the video comes out. And, yeah. If there's any videos you'd like to recommend, comment section below. I'll react to it as soon as possible. The link to this video is going to be down in the description below. So be sure to give the Theorizer some love and support for the video that they made. Now, with this all said, let's get right on to this video, shall we? If I click that. Okay, there we go.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and with the previous video, we finally have the majority of Shrek out of the way. Not all of it, but here's where things are about to take a turn. These sky gods, the amount that they're doing, that they're getting away with, it's just ridiculous. We covered a lot in that video. The gods are manipulating musicians, turning their own footmen against one another, swapping sides, dictating fates, and jump-starting apocalypses. Who are they? I mean, we know that. We get a ton of it in All Hail King Julian, but I have more to say on this. They are called sky gods for a reason. They aren't just gods. They are the controllers of the sky. You know about the spooky lightning, but it goes far deeper than that. We even know about the ghosts and the magic they perpetuate, but that's still only like one level deep. We need to be much more aggressive. Here's where things are either going to get shocking or go too far, and that's with the sun and moon imagery. Give me 1 minute though, and you'll see just how solid this really is. There's the little things, like how Mort screams at the sun, or how there's a sun on the Duloc music cult. Wow. Flimsy as all hell. But we do know that the sun and moon are godly. It's All Hail King Julian stuff, but that moon, this moon, I'm telling you. Charming races to save Fiona in front of an abnormally large desert full moon. The night of the fairy godmother's blackmail is centered around an abnormally large, omnipresent full moon. Shrek and Fiona enjoy their honeymoon while being watched across where the lightning splits the sea by a looming and aggressive, abnormally large full moon. And then there's tons more too. This is just the Shrek films, mind you. I could go into detail with all the other appearances too, but it's always there. The moon is always there if you're watching any of the films I've been theorizing on, because every single time you start up one of these movies, you are greeted with exactly that. The DreamWorks moon. This is the ultimate sky god. This is the ultimate proof of a shared universe. Let me direct you back to All Hail King Julian, where I now have explicit reason to believe that the main character who's in tune with the universe has his very specific name for all these reasons. His name is Sage Moon Dancer. He and his bird are definitely a part of things, as I assumed long ago. More importantly, though, can I direct you to the show's opening sequence, which centers around Julian. As we've repeatedly established, Pineapple contains all of the souls of the previous lemur kings, and of course is also the leader of the gods. Our Julian is the prized possession of the gods, and it finally hit me because there he is, sitting on the DreamWorks moon, fishing and catching. Who do you think? Mort. Mort's also the one who flies into the logo and replaces the I in King, stealing the crown which this entire time has also resembled a pineapple. This show is called All Hail King Julian for a reason. Julian is a royal with godly blood in his veins, and this is about to become critical to my theories. You see, there's a reason Julian's feet do what they do to Mort. Just you wait. So, to put it simply, this moon is important. More shocking, though, is that it has a backstory, or at least it can. Perhaps the moon represents all of the sky gods at once, a symbol of the pantheon. We need more, and so as you might be able to tell, this is finally where Rise of the Guardians enters the picture. This movie follows Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, and the...
Okay, so that's an interesting one. So, somehow, this theory leads into this one film that just, I don't know, to this point, after it just felt a little off to put in, but then again, not so much, because there has been stranger stuff. So, yeah, okay.
Sandman, as they're all spirits who were once alive and then sort of kept from death by the man in the moon. There are many other spirits too, but these few are the most physical and legendary, and they are referred to as guardians. The film details Jack Frost evolving from regular spirit to guardian, and the film's villain is a truly aggressive being known as Pitch Black, aka the Boogeyman, and the guardians have to stop him. I hope you can see the parallels in how the man in the moon keeps people from death and then assimilates them, because it's the exact same anti-Mort capabilities that I've been theorizing the Sky Gods to have for ages now. These guardians are there to comfort and raise the next generations of humanity, keeping them safe from the boogeyman and such. I'm hesitant, however. Hesitant for the same reason I was hesitant to include my old Guardians theory in the playlist and still haven't, and the same reason I have yet to make another video on the film. This is miles more complex than the other films. You see, Rise of the Guardians is directly based off of the Guardians of Childhood book series, which is full of lore and its own backstories, but DreamWorks also has a track record of appropriating source material and merging them into prior conceived plot lines to their liking. Remember the film Home? Do you remember what I said about it in part 21? The aliens took up residence in Paris, of all places? Well, commenter Retro Red made sure to highlight the true mind blow here, which is that the book Home is based on didn't take place in Paris. DreamWorks consciously changed it. Another example of book continuity is Shrek, where I deemed that various characters had been adapted from the book improperly for a very strict reason. To put things as simply as I can, DreamWorks is taking elements and bending them to their own stories. This changes things, and even if you choose to defy their methods, my point in general is this: the Sky Gods are taking those who were reaped wrong and twisting them to their cause. This is the grand story across all DreamWorks films, you see. Each side is recruiting more and more forces from the other side, slowly compromising everything as humans regress into weaker and weaker states. This leads to more desperation and more underhandedness, and as I've already said a few times now, things are not black and white. And hey, I'm just saying, if the Sky Gods created the Guardians, then it would stand to reason that Mort created the Boogeyman, and all it takes is one look at his weapon of choice, and you can see that I'm right on the fucking mark. This moon, the moon we see recur everywhere in...
Okay, maybe that is true in all honesty. But that just means more of a connection towards... Yeah, but then again, we've been going on saying that more is that, so... Again, not wrong, doesn't seem wrong. Fits with the theory. And I'm gonna admit, there is a large amount of moon and sun related stuff that I don't really recall.
Imaginable is not a moon. It is a sky god, or all sky gods. As tired as I am of the Shrek films at this point in the theory, one of the key moments I can highlight would be when two intelligent beasts sit next to each other, staring directly at it, as they point to mythical ancestral figures in various constellations scattered about. The moon, the heavens, the Mort constellations. And here's the ultimate Shrek bombshell insofar as it wraps back around to my original theory on Fiona from 2016. It just hit me. that her curse only affects her when the sun goes down, which is 100% consistent with the idea that the fairy godmother cursed her to begin with because she derives her magic from the sky gods who primarily take the collective form of the moon, and thus their focus would be somewhat increased at night.
We've reached the point in these connection segments, part 17, part 21, part 22, part 23, where there's been so much evidence, some amazing, some mediocre, but still so much that I'm on the threshold of exploding like an explosion. If you've been following the series to any extent, you know my reactions are warranted. I'm struggling to parse through a few things because the line is blurring at this point, so much so that when I started watching the animation tests, I swear I started seeing things like Pineapple and Lord Farquaad's invisible crown, so I need to ground myself. We know lots about the Sky Gods, now it's time for me to lampoon them. Shit's about to get juicy, because their fishy-ass dream ain't working. You see, we may loosely know who they are and what they've done, but their behavior is particularly repugnant. I am referring, of course, to their demand for sacrifices. They relish in such things, and have even presented their enemies with peace offerings in the form of sacrificial food. Chantal Dubois. Need I say more? Yes. Penguins. These four creatures are out for blood like you wouldn't believe. Both sides of this battle are so focused on this murderous behavior, and you can see this when the penguins joke about having killed the freighter crew and eaten their livers. Gloria looks shocked, and Skipper claims that they in fact just sent the crew off to China on a lifeboat. Honestly, either of those could be true, and either would be interesting, but I've still yet to incorporate China and Kung Fu Panda into this, so give it time. More notable, then, is when they try murdering the old woman almost constantly in the second Madagascar film. They try ramming her down with a car, and then a plane, and when she doesn't die, they hit her again. Of course, you may recall that Nana is an integral part of the Feet cult, as I've been saying for ages now, so it makes sense, I suppose, but the penguins are no less bloodthirsty for others. Funny enough, I recently stumbled upon a theory on Reddit that was based off of mine from user James the Ice Queen, who looked at all the data and determined that Madagascar could very well be the afterlife. Now, that's very noteworthy, but it doesn't fully pan out because of the variety of things we see in All Hail King Julian. What does pan out, though, is something that was uncovered by them in the replies. I wouldn't have caught it
if not for Twitter user at RidleyGT, though, so credit where credit's due, but this idea that each penguin represents a different horseman of the apocalypse, well, it would answer a large number of questions I've been having about the topic. I don't know about the other two, but Rico and Skipper almost eerily fit the descriptions of war and famine, and I think it was Rico's bottomless stomach that really got me. I don't know, though. We'll have to see how things play out, but these important supernatural figures will likely come into play eventually, one way or another. The point in all of this is that the sky gods are bloodthirsty, the penguins are bloodthirsty, Mort is bloodthirsty, and yes, as I've mentioned multiple times before, I have indeed seen the penguins post-credit scene where Mort basically eats King Julian whole after being transfused with a crap ton of mutated genes. This scene does add to the idea that the films agree with All Hail King Julian's depiction of Mort, but also that Mort is involved in the sacrificial food business. I will say that this isn't permanent, though. Julian isn't dead here, and he was likely fine afterwards. Though remember last time when I said Donkey could have been sacrificial food? Well, you're not gonna believe this, but in Shrek 4, the ogres literally tie Donkey up to eat him, and he claims that he goes down smooth but comes out fighting. This implies that Donkey somehow has knowledge of what it's like to be eaten, and it is disturbing. How is everything coming true? How I'd have to say, though, that the Sky God's most bloodthirsty moment would also come from the films, which is surprising. Or is it? Yes, in the second film, you may recall the climax where Julian convinced Melman to sacrifice himself to the Sky Gods by jumping into the volcano with the hopes that the river would start flowing again. That's literally exactly how they describe it in the film. Commenter Mad May pointed out that it was literally a footman who blocked the river to begin with, and that's true, it was Nana. This sent me on a bewildering tangent like you won't believe. I had always thought that Nana was in the KGB, remember? Well, I'm now more than ever certain that she's actually in Feet. You see, like Dubois, I believe Nana has been preparing for this moment her entire life. She instantly sets up camp and plans to eat lions. She claims it tastes like chicken, which means that she, like Dubois, was trained from an early age to go after Alex specifically. Go after him as food. There it is again, the sacrifice. In my theory on her, I claimed she went to Africa annually, and now we know why. It was stated that she ends the film by taking Makunga home, somehow, and now we know what she actually plans to do with him. Tastes like chicken. On top of this, Melman never actually does sacrifice himself to the Sky Gods, and everyone leaves before once again the mind screw sets in. If you've seen the film, then you know exactly what happens next. Mort, after being absent for the entire film, shows up with a shark that has somehow been chasing him across the savannah from the coastline as it's somehow magically still alive, and then he sacrifices that to the gods. Fire bursts up reminiscent of Devil du Bois, and instantaneously the river starts flowing again. I believe the entire climax with the plane and the dam was supernaturally influenced by the sky gods in one way or another. We discussed in part 21 how they likely also did it in the third film's plane sequence, and there are tons of things they could have done here too. Miscommunication on the monkey chain, Nana with the purse, and a freak accident beheading Skipper's love life. Nana is such a footman it isn't even funny. Alex dances to the music and fulfills his Central Park Zoo training from the foot outpost it is, and Nana can't help but call it beautiful, as it is music and it is holy. But it doesn't stop her. The greater forces do. Even her dog knows something's up as it tries horrifically murdering the penguins in the Christmas Caper special. It all clicks when you view these films through a lens of life versus death and gods versus mort. So those are all some really interesting points about the ways in which the sky gods deal with sacrifices, but I still haven't hit you with the biggest slap in the face to my clueless ass all year. In the Madagascar films, as well as All Hail King Julian, we witness most of the lemur's important discussions inside of the plane that crash landed in the baobab tree. This plane is full of human skeletons, and for decades, presumably, the royal lemur line has been using it as their throne room. This is the same plane they later modify and crash land twice. This plane, this thing that's at the center of some of the most important events in all of the Madagascar lore, it flew in from France.
Wait, what?
Honestly, I can keep going. These French people flew.
Okay, so I'm not trying to pause too often. This thing is like almost 30 minutes long, and I don't want to pause like every 5 seconds for every detail or every other minute, because then it's going to be a long video for you all to see. And it has, and so on and so forth. But that is something else. So, honestly, yeah, there is a connection to the moon when it comes to a lot of the stuff, in some way, shape, or form. And the fact that there is a lot of mentions of sacrificial stuff. Yeah, that's not gonna lie, that's a bit unnerving. But yeah, that's all I have to really say about the matter, because that's all I can really take in from it, in all honesty. So, with all the stuff going on, Nana knows something's up. Well, Nana is obviously a part of something. And the fact that it does seem like she has hunted lions and ate one from the sounds of it. And I do remember Madagascar 2 pretty well. Not to perfect detail, but I do know that it is kind of weird that she did say that. She did block up the water, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's obviously kind of proving this fact in detail 100 to make it seem 100. It's proving that the fact that foot or feet, it's proving that there may, okay, there is a large possibility that this is most likely true. Because that is very suspicious on why all this just seems to fit too well.
Flew in with a cookbook that instructs how to cook lemurs like the apparent sacrificial food they are. This is all on full display in the film, no less. This is all film lore. The continuity is shocking, it is devastating, it is horrific. I am speechless, and I ask one more time. Do you believe me now? Alright, so I'm starting to get a feel for why the sky gods most often represent themselves with fruit. It's a form easily consumed, even though they are the consumers. Remember that All Hail King Julian episode where the fruit flies tried killing everyone? Mort ate them and then became a fly. It was weird, and I think the fact that it now makes sense is even weirder. Sentient food is very prevalent here. Almost as prevalent as the sacrifices, I'd say. When Alex first lands in Madagascar, what does he start seeing everywhere? Talking steak. You can't make this shit up. I swear it's all true, and it's not just in Madagascar either, it's everywhere. Literally sacrificial foods. Namely, of course, where else but back to the Shrek films. Sentient foodstuffs include the animal crackers from Shrek 4, and the one fighting them, of course, the gingerbread man, who was created by the Muffin Man at Drury Lane. How do I know this is truly tied in? Well, during the gingerbread man's interrogation by Lord Farquaad, he claims that the Muffin Man's wife is hiding fairy tale characters from those who would destroy them. Farquaad then claims that he knows the Muffin Man. He knows some random man who lives across the continent and far, far away? Yeah, you better bet the Muffin Man is a footman too. How else? And when the gang visits the Muffin Man in Shrek 2, Drury Lane is a horror show of resurrecting the dead and granting supernatural life to inanimate objects with referential lightning. And the Muffin Man has a French accent.
Are you okay, dude?
Pinch me. Pinch me. We were done with Shrek. Wake me up. This isn't happening. French chefs greet the important guests with snail appetizers. Shrek tends to prefer the grosser things in life as he confronts the footman villagers back home by telling them that he planned to peel their skin and their livers and squeeze their eyes. Yikes, intelligent beast be beastly. There's more sacrificial food, and they call him a beast. Following the dinner scene, the godmother shows up from a brightly lit night sky as she sings a song so full of evidence that it isn't remotely funny. She gives Fiona a Bichon Frise, which is a French dog, and makes sure to specify the breed in her musical number before offering a chicken fricassee and telling Fiona to spoon someone on the moon and showing Prince Charles in Fiona's bathroom mirror, but more on that in a second. The godmother creates life. She makes furniture sentient, which is directly in line with all that I've been saying. She probably created the enchanted trees too, and this is where all my Dronki theories come in, considering we now know why her magic was powerful enough to permit their existence. In the godmother's factory, her own workers actively hate her tyrannical rule and are out to stop her in a unionized movement that's somewhat similar to the movement she helped create, the meme cult. These are all very vague little pieces of evidence on their own, but not together. Together they add up. Even if the more coincidental ones add very little, you don't realize these sorts of things until you acknowledge that a ton of DreamWorks films end on dance sequences, which is no longer as ridiculous and boring as you thought it was. Or how about when the three pigs look at the fairy godmother's dress and say they see London, they see France? I don't know where to draw the line, so I'm saying everything. I'll have to find a line, though. In the later parts where I will bring common sense into this, I will draw the line. And I fear that day. Alright, we've gone from Shrek evidence on top of Shrek evidence on top of Shrek evidence to the theories on the moon to the theories on the sacrifices. Now we're finally on to the less clustered evidence. When editing part 21, I noticed something odd in the trivia section of the Monsters vs. Aliens wiki. It was legit, and thus I zoomed way in on it in my video, hoping all of you would see it, and most did, that being the fact that the general in Monsters vs. Aliens is literally wearing a Shrek pin. As viewer Sensei pointed out on Twitter, it is indeed also surrounded by
oh, wait, that's clouds? That's a golf club. That... oh, yeah. Uh-huh. That's definitely 100% Shrek. What the frick? That is... weird. Like... I'm actually surprised by that. Like, why does it... he look like... why? How does he know Shrek? And all that.
Clouds, as you would expect from the sky gods. It is in fact the definitive form they take in most of the canon. Though, what are the details and logistics of this? How does this work in terms of overall timeline? What does it mean? I plan to get to this later, of course, as I have no idea at the moment. It shakes a few things up, but can also be discussed in the logic segments. I've also gotten a few comments about the villain of The Boss Baby, whose name is literally Francis. This is insane! This is insane! How has nobody spotted, at bare minimum, the French connections before? How in all these years, Am I honestly the first? A number of you have commented about Mr. Peabody and Sherman going back to medieval France, and there being an absolutely massive number of connections in it, but I'll tend to that in the next part because this theory is getting larger than anything I've ever made. Another pattern I realized upon a recent Megamind rewatch is when Metro Man pretends to be weakened near the beginning of the film, he randomly chooses copper to be the metal of his weakness, which I find quite fascinating considering a substantial part of Mort is infamously made of copper. Remember his genetics? That was one of the few things on the list. Metro Man also discusses non-corrosive metals, but I felt the need to cover the copper. Again, debate in the comments, but this would come as no surprise because of course Feet would want to recruit Metro Man. He's the pinnacle of forced evolution, given that he's essentially Superman. Even more evidence against Metro City is that they let Megamind orbit his own satellite, and they claim the city does pay the prison, but we're all past that now. No, what we need to discuss right now is more important than petty pins or copper. We need to get on a critical mystery. Todd. Remember this All Hail King Julian character? He's a toddler, and so much more. As you may recall, he's a little baby lemur possessed by a devil, and he has 2/7 of the deadly sins for parents. The show flips between the terms devil and demon, but considering the fire symbolism I keep highlighting throughout these last few videos with things like the maybe random flames on Charming's leotard, there's evidence everywhere if you squint hard enough, but we know that Dubois has a more direct tie to the big one, which would imply to me that Todd is being possessed by a low-level functionary courtesy of Hell, or the Sky God's equivalent of Hell. They do reference it in the show, if I recall. Todd is possessed by a demon, but not just any demon. It's one that makes the exact same attack face as our dear old Mort, which would imply that they are tied. Here's the thing. Since the very first second I mentioned Todd, you've all been commenting how Todd is German for I shit you not. The word death.
Wait, what?
Okay, so first of all, this should be absolutely explicit.
Wait. Todd. In French. And if you translate it, it means death. You have got to be kidding me. So does that mean that every character that we hear from here on out, throughout of all of DreamWorks, if they're named Todd, they might have a connection to Mort? Where is the end of this rabbit hole?
Explicit confirmation that the creators of All Hail King Julian were aware that Mort's name means death, considering they now have 2 characters who look the same and act the same with the same name. We know the Penguin spin-off openly stated facts about Mort's name, but this should openly confirm that here as well. So then there can be a number of other possibilities, many of which you can probably guess off the top of your head. Is Todd's demon secretly the son of the original Mort? I think more likely Todd represents maybe the Antichrist or something. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I have to go in and do a second rewatch of the show to get all the updated evidence, but each time the intro starts, my stomach sinks and I get tunnel vision from flashbacks of sheer overanalysis. I will cover Todd better next time, but absolutely comment if you have anything to say about him. For those who still don't think any of this massive shared universe was planned by DreamWorks, you're sort of missing the point. That's not the question. There's no reason that any of this should be able to connect, and yet here it is happening. Sometimes in a flimsy way, but sometimes to perfection. My shock is more at the fact that this has been never-ending, and the connections just keep coming, flawlessly, as if the universe itself is taunting me, not DreamWorks. You're forgetting that at its core, this is all one extremely elaborate theory on All Hail King Julian, and how the writers found the exact same patterns in DreamWorks that I did, and then gave it all a backstory in the form of their show. This is a theory on that. And the purpose of doing all this isn't even the theory at this point, it's just seeing how shockingly deep this keeps connecting, because there's no reason it should be like this, and yet it is. It should be obvious at this point because the sheer volume of references and lines that point back to All Hail King Julian is shocking. At one point during this, I even started obsessing over whether Shrek's onion metaphor was a reference to the heaven fruits or something, because they're food, only to turn on Netflix and be greeted with this.
Because I'm like an onion, Maurice. There's a lot of layers up in here.
This is yet another explicit reference back to everything, and the show is packed with it, far beyond what I discussed in those designated segments. It goes deep. The only way to undo these patterns is if DreamWorks were to scrub their films from history, which isn't going to happen. Don't worry about the logic and common sense of it all. Remember, I will fix that when the time comes and all of the evidence is on the table. Some of you were asking if I knew about the mama bear from Shrek being skinned alive by Lord Farquaad, and yes, I've been fully aware of this for several years, but it doesn't change change much for this theory specifically. Another element that I don't think anyone realizes is that not only is Baby Bear crying, but he's the only other character.
Oh. As in that bear. Oh, I thought you. Okay, never mind. I take back my answer. I didn't know it was that bear and his father. Oh, I thought that was in general that he skinned a bear. Okay, that's my B. I'm gonna admit that's my B. I messed up. I screwed up, and all that other stuff. Wow. Okay, that's on me.
Who raises his hand when Shrek asks where Lord Farquaad is, and then Papa Bear rapidly forces his hand down. I say this now to once again prove a point about detail and intent. They are clever. These writers openly aimed to be the anti-Disney, and it's pretty clear that they've succeeded if they've cranked human-animal relations back so far as to trigger a mass apocalyptic event, i.e. the eradication of humanity. Mama Bear is also suspicious though, because I recall her also being in the karaoke sequence, canon versus canon, weird timelines. For the love of pineapple, the depth of this is destroying me harder than anything else. So now that we've gotten that massive disclaimer about common sense out of the way, I present to you for all your troubles a few answers. The biggest and most obvious one that has been plaguing me for ages now is the question, why music? I need to know the reason behind music and why these cults are using it. It clearly has magical ties if Merlin is any indication, and remember, Hook's piano blew up, leading to all of the villains running away as if their magical tie was severed. But I feel like the Sky Gods will give us a better answer here, so I went back yet again to the Madagascar films, and the answer hit me like a train. Julian spends the entirety of his existence living as a vessel of the gods and doing what? Dancing. He's constantly doing the move it, and Mort clamps onto his feet to stop him from doing it. This is it. I was right with the piano. Music truly is how they communicate with the Sky Gods. Julian's entire character is that he has godly blood and he's a dancer. That's it. I'm speechless. You have to believe me, this is insane. Commenter Anna May probably puts it best because music literally is the universal language. I felt like there was even more though, and then a second train hit me. This is already canon. It was established in All Hail King Julian, the show that answers everything, that music is how they communicate with the gods. You called me crazy. Who's laughing now? There are wrinkles, as expected. Some of the bigger wrinkles in all this are the intentions of various characters, like how the Sky Gods are out to destroy Mort, but they still befriend smart Mort. There's a lot of overlap, and things, again, are not as black and white as they seem. If you think Mort clamping onto Julian's feet is a slight leap, take notice of how half the time Mort's musical endeavors are smug and cynical and full of disdain. A danse macabre. So I returned to the show yet again, and then a third train hit me. The Club Moist episode. Mort goes up on stage to sing a song, and the lyrics tell us exactly what I've been saying. Your feet make me weak when I'm dancing to the beat. There it is. Stop doubting these things. Julian is a being whose mere existence, by little fault of his own, keeps Mort suppressed. The feet are the key to dancing, and they are grounded like Mort, and this is our answer to both the music cult and the feet obsession. Last but not least, I have our final twists. Firstly, some more evidence that the Central Park Zoo is some sort of stronghold for suppressing animal intelligence. Obviously, there's the big evidence like Alice and the Mort plushies, but how about evidence from the films directly? Well, evidence that they know about the intelligence should come purely from the way they treat the gang. They keep them weak and pampered so as to suppress them and keep them docile. Do you remember the film I deemed to be a companion piece to Madagascar, Over the Hedge? Well, in it, the main plot line is the antithesis to this. RJ shows off how humans are getting pampered and weaker and losing mobility and devolving. Both sides are trying to suppress the other into extinction, and it seems to be working. Also, note the moon. Perhaps Vincent was the villain of the film for the same reason he was used at the Honey trial. He's on the wrong side of this fight, but something's going on here. The suppression, the war, the timeline. Commenter Gavin Alexander Hernandez pointed out some of the most critical evidence I've seen from you all yet, and it's that the president from Monsters vs. Aliens literally greets aliens by blaring a musical meme on a piano for no reason. Musical meme alien team, I ask for one last time. How the can someone disagree with this? He's been fully immersed in General Warmonger's propaganda, and as you were all eager to point out, the film's credit scene ends with him firing the nukes. End of humanity? I was instantly on board, but hold on a second. Remember, I'm feeling something off. All of the references feel like they're inverted. Something's going on here. Something's wrong. What is it?
Can you not show that photo of Mort?
Oh no. I've been looking at it all wrong. Farquaad is short. Rumpel is short. Humans are getting weaker. Slowly devolving, and the gods are forcing it back and force evolving, but Shrek manages to get the throne anyways because...
Okay, what crazy theory you have now? Panda.
We've been looking at it backwards.
Home, Madagascar, Shrek, The Croods, Kung Fu Panda. Well, I guess that makes sense. That it would be before Shrek, since... that's the one with the purple alien. The Croods is the caveman. So that means something happened in Shrek that led to the Croods, and the Croods somehow became Kung Fu Panda. I don't get it. Like, the first half, that makes sense. The second half, these two right here, that's just... I don't know, that just seems off.
This entire time, humans don't suddenly go extinct from Mort and his forces. It's an insidious slow burn until animals take over. Kung Fu Panda isn't just in the future. Shrek is too. They call things medieval in the Shrek films. Why? That word didn't come around until long after the actual medieval times. Prince Charles on the wall? How can he exist in a past that doesn't? Oh goodness, could Far Far Away be the actual Hollywood repurposing Disneyland into legitimization? While they sing songs from the 2000s, a frog became human and usurped the throne. Animals are getting happy endings. What is going on here? Why are the Mort forces getting their happiness? Unless... Oh my. Have I been wrong about Mort this entire time? He's not the villain. He's the good guy. Mort's been the hero all this time? He's just death. The devils are the enemy here. What? The amount of holes in this, I'm aware. I'm aware of how backwards and wild this sounds and how it on the surface changes the origin of the music cult, but there are equally as many holes if the timeline was forwards, and Madagascar always seems to be the origin anyways. The villains had tricked me into siding with them, and this is about to get wild. I will prove this next time, whenever that may be. I might discuss the Muffin Man's wife who was hiding fairy tale creatures, maybe the Magic Mirror's identity, and of course the rest of the films. This one's been a mess, but also can someone please find out which painting this is referencing? I've been looking, but I can only find close but not quite.
This one confuses me. I'm not gonna lie. Especially that last part. Okay. So, basically, we start off with, simple thoughts, simple theories, connections to confirm certain facts. Found out that Todd in French, if you translate it from French to English, means death. A connection to a new character in King Julian that looks like Mort. The whole thing with domestication. Then we got the Guardians. And yeah. But everything was backwards. So it's not people trying to stop Mort. It's more stop Mort from doing something bad. It's the opposite of that. Mort is like, trying to keep something from happening, basically. That's really bad. I think that's the best way to even go about announcing that. Because to me, that seems like the best way to even go about mentioning it. Because from the sounds of it, it is like that. If we're gonna go backwards, it basically means Mort is trying to stop something bad. And everything he's been doing is to preserve animal intelligence, but that would also mean that he's trying to make sure that humans and animals um um uh um it basically trying to make peace with humans and intelligent animals, unity and mythical creatures and all that. Okay. That is something, I guess. But if you do it that way, wouldn't that mean that there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be unraveled for better or worse? Because that is what it sounds like, in all honesty. Uh, okay. Um, yeah, yeah, I think it deserves the title Pure Chaotic Insanity, because it lost me here and there. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Um, if you did, hit the like button below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when the video comes out. Be sure to give the Theorizer some love and support for the video that they made. But, yeah, this is a weird one. The first part, it's just basically connections. How they could fit, what they could, any additional information, little bits and pieces to add to the puzzle to prove the theory. But if it does mean that everything is backwards, then this is gonna be crazy. Wonder what this last part's gonna be. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you do, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. The notification button to notify immediately. Oh wait, I already did all this. Just tell me what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!